The transfer portal opened up Monday, and ever since then, we've seen over 1,000 players enter the transfer portal, and that's even more in the short amount of time than it was last year. Just like the title of the video says, the transfer portal is really getting out of hand lately. All the money involved, all the 6-year seniors involved, it's all crazy. And it's crazy how much stuff is going on in college football right now, and the season isn't even over yet. But you have players like Washington State's quarterback Cam Ward, you got Oklahoma's quarterback Dillon Gabriel, who has already been in college 5 years now. You also have other quarterbacks like freshman Dante Moore and DJ Uyunglele, and you also have Riley Leonard. They're all looking to transfer to another program. So in this video, I wanted to look at some of the news and rumors regarding the transfer portal. But before I get into this video, here's a reminder to subscribe to the channel and also turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And I know I haven't been posting much lately, but I do have a lot of videos planned for this month, and I will be back to posting daily. And I will start posting all my predictions for all the bowl games starting next Monday, so tune in for more videos because I'm going to have a lot of prediction videos coming next week. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Now let's start off with probably the most shocking guy to enter the transfer portal. How about Dillon Gabriel? The guy that most people didn't even know had eligibility left. I'm one of those people, I had no idea. But nope, he has another year apparently, and he'll be a 6-year senior next year. And right now, there's actually been a lot of talks about him going to the Oregon Ducks. So if you thought people didn't like Bo Nix being a super senior at Oregon, imagine Dillon Gabriel going to play as a super senior for the Oregon Ducks. And me personally, I'm a Ducks fan, and I wouldn't mind seeing Dillon Gabriel play for Oregon, but I also want to see a guy like Ty Thompson get his time to shine, because Ty Thompson has been behind Bo Nix for years now. And Ty Thompson never entered the transfer portal, and he's been loyal to the team. But the guy hasn't really gotten a chance. But he was a decent recruit coming out of high school, and in the little time he played this year, he was pretty efficient throwing for a completion percentage of 77.4. But he ultimately only threw 31 passes on the year. But I mean, Dillon Gabriel would be nice, but it's going to be interesting if Ty Thompson finally gets a chance because of how loyal to the Oregon Ducks he's been. But for Dillon Gabriel, it does seem very likely that he will go to the Oregon Ducks, and I wasn't really expecting that, but he is visiting Oregon very soon. So we'll see what Dillon Gabriel decides to do, because I was actually thinking he'd follow his offensive coordinator to Mississippi State, but maybe he won't. But what about this former quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs, Brock Vandagriff? He's now going to Kentucky. We haven't seen much from the kid, but Brock was actually a 4-star recruit, ranked number 37th in the 2021 ESPN Top 300. And you also had Tyler Shaw transfer to Louisville. Tyler Shaw was the quarterback for Texas Tech, but his season did get cut short due to injury. But you want to know what makes his transfer even more crazy? Tyler Shaw will now be a 7th-year senior, and he actually started his college career in 2018 at the Oregon Ducks. But because of all the injuries he suffered, he will now be playing another year, and the state of Kentucky looks like they're set to go on their number 1 quarterbacks in 2024. And who knows, super seniors could end up being 40 years old by the time we hit 2035. But another report going around is that Riley Leonard is leaning towards transferring to Notre Dame, which I was expecting him to do, and I won't be surprised if he transfers there. And he already has a visit set up very soon. Riley Leonard is a lot like Sam Hartman, maybe better, maybe worse, but they have similar play styles and similar skill levels, so we'll see how Notre Dame does if they get Riley Leonard. But one guy that isn't a quarterback that a lot of people aren't talking about is the defensive tackle from Pennsylvania, Joey Slackman. According to ESPN, he's the 6th best player in the transfer portal. Joey Slackman was an honorable mention All-Ivy selection after the 2022 season, and he also had a good 2023 year. And now he wants to take his talent to the next level. And he's already getting attention from top programs like Michigan, Washington, Florida, Missouri, Miami, and Louisville, and a handful of other schools. There's a lot of FCS players under the radar, but a lot of these guys have a huge chance to make an impact as they continue to build their way up. Another player from a smaller school that can really make a big impact is Jamori Macklin. He's a wide receiver for North Texas. But I actually seen this kid play. I recognize his name, and I was impressed by him. I believe I watched him when North Texas played Tulane. But regardless of if I've watched him play or not, this kid is talented, and he had 4 games with over 100 yards. And he's already getting attention from bigger schools like LSU, Michigan State, Colorado, Penn State, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, and many more other schools. The dude reached over 1,000 yards receiving on the year, and people need to keep their eye on this kid because I've heard a lot of good things about him, and he could definitely make an impact. You know, there's so much going on with the transfer portal, it's honestly hard to keep up with, but there's a couple big-name quarterbacks that I haven't talked about yet. Guys like Cam Ward, Dante Moore, DJ Uyunglele, Kyle McCord. I also didn't mention that Max Johnson, former Texas A&M quarterback, he actually transferred to North Carolina and he'll replace Drake May, so that's interesting. I think Max Johnson has the potential to be a pretty good quarterback, and a lot of quarterbacks in the transfer portal have a chance to make a huge impact, and we may see something that absolutely nobody expects going forward. There's so many quarterbacks in the portal, but I'm going to try to cover a lot of them, and let's continue on with this video and talk about the question mark that is Dante Moore. I say question mark because anybody who picks up Dante Moore is going to be taking a risk. And Dante Moore at UCLA wasn't that great. He threw almost as much interceptions as touchdowns. But let's also not forget that Dante Moore was a freshman, and maybe he just needs the right system and the right players to play with. Could we see him transfer somewhere and possibly play as a backup for a bigger school? Or maybe he'll go to a smaller school. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he straight up just went to a bigger school and started right away, just because of how good of a recruit he was coming out of high school. We just haven't seen much out of him yet, but right now there's reports about him possibly going to LSU, Miami, Michigan State, or Texas A&M, but the team that had more talk is Michigan, because apparently Michigan has been in contact with Dante Moore, and they are interested in him. And if he does go to Michigan, he could possibly be a backup to J.J. McCarthy, depending on if J.J. McCarthy declares for the NFL draft or not, and I figure J.J. McCarthy will probably declare. And I'd like to see Dante Moore play and show some of his skills, but I don't think he's quite ready yet, and maybe being a backup for a guy like J.J. McCarthy would help him out in the future. And Michigan would honestly be a great program for Dante Moore to learn in. Then you also have a guy like DJ Uiagalelei. I most likely see him following his coach to Michigan State and being a quarterback there. I don't know if any big programs like Oregon or Michigan or Ohio State would want him, but there have been talks about him possibly going to Florida State, which is kind of weird if you ask me. DJ Uiagalelei is a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. But he did show some improvement at Oregon State, and he could possibly get even better. Like I've said before, sometimes quarterbacks turn into a completely different player if they have the right system to work with. You also have Cam Ward, who is on a lot of teams' radars. Cam Ward and Dillon Gabriel are probably the two biggest names in the portal. And I would say they're pretty even when it comes to the skill level. So anybody who picks up Dillon Gabriel or Cam Ward could have a very good quarterback. And right now, Cam Ward is deciding between transferring or if he'll just enter the draft. But personally, if I was him, I'd give myself another year to go to a bigger program and get your draft stock up. Because you didn't really have the opportunity at Washington State, having to carry the whole team. Washington State is not a good team, and Cam Ward probably made the right decision getting out of there. But could you imagine Cam Ward going to his in-state rival, Washington, and being their new quarterback? There's been talks about him going there, and that could be a good fit for Cam Ward. But ultimately, I think the two most likely destinations for him will either be Ohio State or Florida State. Those are two top programs that really need a quarterback bad next year. And you think they would risk it all to get Cam Ward, but I'm still unsure on where he's most likely going. You have quarterbacks like Dillon Gabriel and Riley Leonard, who we know they will most likely end up transferring to. But I'm still unsure about Cam Ward, and the suspense on where these players will land keeps all of us excited. But we haven't heard about USC yet. We know that they will need a quarterback, and Caleb Williams did announce that he's declaring for the draft, so he won't be in a bowl game this year. But right now, the most likely quarterback for USC seems like it will be Will Howard, because reports say that Lincoln Riley visited Will Howard just recently. But USC needs a defense just as much as you guys need a quarterback, so Lincoln Riley maybe should focus on getting a defense so you can actually compete in the Big Ten. This next quarterback may be under a lot of people's radars. Aiden Childs, who was a backup quarterback for Oregon State, could definitely make an impact because a lot of sources seem to like the guy and think that he's a really good quarterback, or that he at least has a lot of potential. But the guy can throw the ball and he can run the ball pretty well, and he was a pretty good recruit coming out of high school, and he's getting a lot of attention. And I'm not exactly sure on where he will land, but keep an eye out for the guy because he could shake things up. But let's get on to the last topic of the video. One that stands out is Kyle McCord transferring out of Ohio State. But my question is, what is going on with all the players transferring out of Ohio State? It's getting out of hand. We've seen a lot of Ohio State players transferring out, including a 5-star receiver. But don't get me wrong, we all know Ohio State has a really good recruiting class and has a lot of talent coming in next year. But what's the point if they all just transfer out? Is Ryan Day making changes, or are the players just disappointed with being at Ohio State? Let me know down in the comments below what you think is going on with Ohio State. Because me, myself, I couldn't tell you otherwise. I have no idea what's going on. But what I could definitely tell you is that Kyle McCord probably wasn't going to be Ohio State's #1 quarterback going forward anyways. And I did expect him to transfer out, but where will he go? You may be asking. And I could see him staying in the Big Ten. Maybe we see him go to Rutgers or Nebraska, or maybe he goes to somewhere like NC State or Miami that is a little bit better of a program. I don't expect Kyle McCord to go to a really good program because he's not a great quarterback. He's in the good category, but he could prove himself somewhere. So we'll see what he decides to do going forward. But what is going on with Ohio State players transferring out? I would think there's either some bad vibes with the program or maybe Ryan Day is making huge changes going forward. But is this Ryan Day responding to losing 3 straight to Michigan? I don't know. Only time will tell. But anyways, I'm done talking about the transfer portal. I've had enough. there's just too much going on in the transfer portal. But if you guys want more videos like this, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also turn on notifications so you never miss an upload, because we post daily college football videos. That's going to do it, guys, and peace out.